Greetings. Once again, we connect today to proceed further with our learnings. The next topic at hand is the WebCR, and we'll see how the web control room can be effectively, used for various purposes. So, as you can see, I have already, taken the liberty of opening the URL of my WebCR, so one should be aware of the same. And subsequently, once you put it in your browser, the window opens, and now you can see me going and giving in my credentials. So there they are, and I am proceeding to enter the same, and we are in. That should take me inside the WebCR, and we are good and logged in over there. So this, by the way, the moment you log in, the first thing that we get to see is the dashboard area, where you can see your it's like a quick summary of all that has transgressed, all that exists on this web control room. So I can see the number of clients that are registered over here, number of active users that we have, number of tasks that failed to execute that were scheduled to run on a bot runner client via this web control room. You can see the task, number of files lying in the repository. So it gives you a complete scenario with respect to what are the various specifications, what are the various actions, and what are the various things that are currently happening on the web control room. First and foremost, we would like to go inside the license management area, and here you can go and check what is the duration of the licenses that you currently have. You can install new license if you wish. You can also get a glimpse of what are the current users that you have created and what kind of license are allocated to them. For example, I can see I have two users. One is user new, the other name is OSRunner. The first one having a development kind of a license, the second one having a runtime type of license. Next, going into the control room settings, where we can go and make the various settings which are required for the proper working and functioning of our WebCR. So if I go over here, I can see first of all is the capability of the version control integration. Our software, as you are aware, supports version control, and for that we have provided for the capabilities to be able to integrate with the Visual SVN server, which is a third-party version control software. So you have to go and provide the details to connect to it. Also, the software has the capability to send out notifications whenever user's information is updated, or a user is activated or deactivated, or let's say I schedule a task on the WebCR, whether the task happened successfully or not. The status report can be sent to the concerned stakeholder, and all this information can only happen once you have set up your mail server configuration over here, so that the software can then send a mail from this particular mail ID to all the concerned stakeholders. So to the relevant person, to whom the information needs to be sent forward. Next you are seeing is the credential vault configuration, and here we are supporting two modes. The first is the express mode, where the master key that gets generated is stored, and then that whenever you need to go and connect to your credential vault, it allows you to automatically connect to it. In the second mode, you will have to store the key at your end, and whenever you restart the control room, you will have to manually enter the key. In my case, as you can see, we have chosen to work with the express mode. Then we have the client configuration section, where you can enable secure recording if you wish to. That allows the software to prevent taking screenshots of sensitive areas of recordings, because otherwise what happens is, let's say we are working on some sensitive data, and obviously you may not want the screenshots of the same to be captured. So we can prevent that from happening by enabling secure recording. So these are a couple of things that we can do in advance, so that that leads to proper working and functioning of the software. The repository manager is the next thing where I will go in, and you can see over here that we have many tasks which we have already uploaded onto the WebCR. So if I go inside this folder demo, I can see that we have uploaded some tasks over here which should be visible in a moment's time. So while they are uploading, if I can take back and bring your attention to this client that I have with me, this is basically a bot runner. It is only having this run icon as I can see. On the other hand, we also have a development client where we can go and create bots, modify bots, and do those kind of things. And that would require of us to log in using a username and password which is associated with the development license. So in that case, you can see you have the functionality available to create new bots, record new bots, execute them, as well as edit them. If I want to, let's say, go and upload, let me go back to the repository manager, and I guess we are good there. Now, if I wish to be able to upload, if I want to upload a particular task, so let's say I made some task over here and I wish to upload my task to the WebCR, so I can just do a right click over here. There's an option upload, an upload button exists here also. So once I click on upload, it will ask me for a comment entry. By the way, you are seeing this plus symbol on the left hand side of all these tasks, which indicates that version control has been integrated with the web control room to which this particular client is connected or registered with. I can give some comment entry. The comments and entry is useful because if case you have multiple versions of the script which you upload, the comments can help you by giving proper meaningful comment entries. We can keep ourselves abreast of what was done in a particular version that we uploaded. And once we have done that, once I've given this comment entry, I can save it, and that will take a moment's time, and then our script will get uploaded onto the repository of our web control room. You can see upload is successful. If I go inside my WebCR, let me just shift to another folder momentarily and come back to this one. If I go to my WebCR, I can see that file has been uploaded. Also, if I go inside my version control software and refresh this folder also, I can see that file has been added here also. So that is how we are making things safe. You can upload your key scripts from the client to the WebCR, and from the WebCR, once you have integrated the control room to the version control software, scripts further get escalated inside the version control software also. So that is basically what we are trying to put across in this demonstration. Now that the script has been uploaded, let me revert us back to the WebCR. Before that, I will take the liberty of logging in, or maybe I will create a new user and we'll log in using that. So that will showcase that functionality also. So I have just shown you how you can upload a task on the WebCR. This is the operations room, next one over here, where you can see what tasks are in progress, what are the history of tasks that got executed earlier. These basically are meant for those tasks which were scheduled to execute on a runtime client from this web control room. User management is where we can go and create new users. So let's go and make ourselves a new user over here. So I'm going to go and click on actions. I'm going to say create a user, and we are going to make ourselves a new user to which we will give some name and last name. So username is demo user, first name I'll give as demo, last name as user. Email ID, I will need to give my actual email ID of the box to which I have access to, because once I click on the save button, it will shoot a mail in that box and I will have to open a link and give in my password over there. So I've just gone and given my email ID over here, and then the role I will choose as basic. The basic role can be associated with both the runtime as well as development time license. So I will say allocate license and I will choose runtime for the moment. Runtime by default is associated with our simple development client. Should you also want that your runtime license should allow you to execute IQ bots and MetaBots also, you can choose to select these. For the moment, I will let these two be. I will just go and save it, and we will go and save this one also. And that adds this user over here. Now what I will do is I will go and probably log out of this, or maybe let me just go and because once I go and set the password of that particular new user which we got created, it logs me through that user's credentials. So I'm just going to log in into my Gmail box and set in the password. So Gmail, and I'm going in and giving in my username, and I'm going in and giving in my password, and that will take us in right in over here where we should have a mail. Here you can see the mail has come in. Your automation account is created. Demo users, click here to verify your email set password. So I'm going to click on this link, and now that should take me into a new area where I should be able to set in my password. So I'm just here you can see it is asking me for my password. So I will set in my password and I will log in using the same. When you give the password, it automatically logs you in into the web control room using those credentials that you just created. Notice now that we have limited options over here because now I am logged in as a simple runtime user. So limited options were available. Let me now go and log in as the admin user so that I can then showcase some other functionality. So I'm just opening my control room once again, and we should be able to then go and do the needful. So I'm just in the process of trying to open my control room and logging into the same. We'll give it one quick moment to open. And there you can see I've logged in as that user and limited options available over here. I'm going to log out of this one. Session expired. Let me just create a new window and create a new login as my admin user over here. So let me just go and pick up my URL for opening the control room. So I am just going and opening my control room real quick. And let me just log out of here so that I can log in as the admin user. Just trying to come to that screen of login. Just give it a moment to be able to allow us to reach that spot. Finally. So allowing me to log in into the WebCR as the admin user. That is the user which has got all the rights. The previous user which we created has limited options. So again we are in. So that goes and does the job of creating this user which we just wanted. We have been able to set the password also, and this user is the runtime user. So what I would like to do is I would like to go and log in as the runtime user over here on the client. So I'll go on the client now and say relogin, where I give in my credential of the runtime user that I've just created. I'll log into this box. So you can see now it's only showing run. That means this is now a runtime client, which is what we wanted it to be. Now let me go and schedule a task on the client from my web control rooms. And by the way, before I do that, let me also quickly show you this audit trail. This audit trail, by the way, is, gives you a clear step-by-step action as to what happened with respect to the WebCR. For example, you can see you added a user, demo user, then you logged out, then you set the password of the same, then you again logged out, you log in then as this user, then on the client you'll have logged in as demo user. So even when you log in onto the client, ultimately the connection is happening to the WebCR. So that also gets reflected. So every activity happening with respect to the WebCR is logged over here. That is the crux of the matter. Now we have inside of our repository, we have some tasks over here. So we would like to schedule any of those tasks onto this runtime client that we have created, because it is only possible to schedule a task on a runtime client. You cannot schedule a task from the web control room on a development client. It can only happen on a runtime client. And before you can even do that, you will have to set the production version of the task. So you can see, if I go inside this task, for example, FTP, and I say let me set its production version. So you just click on that and you can set its production version. The production version is set, and once you have set that, then this task can be scheduled. If you try to schedule a task whose production version is not set, it will not allow you to do that. So now we go inside task schedules, and we will say let's go and create ourselves a schedule. So I say create a schedule, and I'm going to take this good task of ours, screen recording 1, and I'm going to say action, let's schedule this. So let's go and schedule this task, give it a name as test underscore new. Recurrence is none. Today's date, what's the time by the way? 3:33 something. We'll make it 3:33 to 15. 35 looks like a good number, which I'll set, and we can let go of this. If this task had any dependencies, we would have to go and manage and add those dependencies also. Currently there are none, so we can let it be. So this is the runtime client which is available at my disposal. So I'm going to go and save this setting over here, so that I should be able to then see my task running on this particular client of mine. So you can see on today's date 15:35, that means just a few moments more before we should see some activity. The schedule has set. Let me go into the operations room and see the task in progress. So we are just waiting for it to turn green so that it goes and starts running. So the task is scheduled to run at 15:35. That is, so I think now you can see this, the time is at the clock, so that thing is now gone. And now we are waiting for this thing to highlight the activity at hand. You can see it goes and starts running over here, and here you can see the status of progress over here inside this operations room. How much of it has executed, you can go and see that. If you want, I can even go and kill this, and that aborts this task. So this way, as you can see, we were able to go and schedule a task on a particular client of ours through the web control room, and that is precisely what we were looking to go and accomplish. So this is basically what we wanted. So you can see on this particular client, screen recording 1, at this particular time we went and aborted it. So that's us going and I think it was probably 23 15:35. Yes, that's us. So I aborted it over here. So here you can see again, if you want, you can go and rerun that also. If you want, that thing is also possible. So couple of things which you wanted to come on board. So that was something about scheduling a task on a runtime client which we want to showcase. I can now go further, look at security. And security, you can see we have got various roles which are available. So the admin role, we'll start with the admin role. This is basically meant for people who need to have whole and complete access. You can see, there's a tick mark everywhere virtually. So admin has entire set of rights on the WebCR. Admin cannot log in inside the client. So that's the admin role. Analytics consumers are basically, people who need to be able to view your bot inside dashboards. Analytics experts are basically people who would be creating, going and creating those scripts which will lead to creation of the bot inside dashboards. The basic role is something which, ideally meant for people who or users who existed in previous versions of the software, and you need to bring them into the current version. So, helping you bring in the legacy users on board to the current version, as well as create new users, assign them development and runtime license. As you can see, we were using it for that purpose also. Bot agent user and bot farm admin. This is basically for bot farm, something which will be a feature which is currently in the pipeline. And validator role is basically meant for IQ bots. So these are a couple of roles. So if you want, you can even go and create a new role. So let's say you have a group of people who join the organization whose set of rights or privileges which needs to be allocated to them is not currently fitting into the role that we have designed. Then you can go and create a new role altogether. That is also possible. Clients, you can go and see what all clients are currently connected to this particular WebCR. I will go over here. Currently, you can see it is currently connected to the demo user client. I have got only one client, so you see that only, but we have logged in as under different users. So now if I go in and log in as the development client user, which I would like to showcase. So this is my user new, and this is basically associated with the development license. So once it connects, I can see all these options getting activated over here. So now if I go and refresh this, let's see what happens. So now you can see it is showing me user new is connected. So it will take a moment's time, and then this thing will go off. So then this is bot farm. In case you have connected to bot farm, it's like a farm of bots that you have got, virtual machines which you can so bot on demand, as we call it, where you can bring up bots and shut them down when you don't need it, and you have an entire digital workforce at your disposal. So this thing is currently available on the cloud only at the moment. Then you have your credential manager, where you can go and create credential variables. So let me go and quickly try to get us on board with respect to this particular feature. So let's say for the sake of demonstration, I am just going to quickly go and open my FTP over here again. So this is my FTP. This is just to give us a quick idea about credentials. So when I click on FTP, it asks me for my username and password. And that allows me to connect. So at the same time, if within my software also, if I want to connect to my FTP site, I will have to go and provide all those details. So I'm just going and opening a task creator to show you how that can be done, how that is done manually initially, and how then we can do it by centrally storing all these passwords. So I will just show that in a moment's time. So if I go inside my bot, my development client, and I choose FTP. So I say FTP connect, for instance. We will be covering the FTP command in details later on, but right now I just want to, bring us on board with respect to this particular feature. So FTP server name, I'll have to go and provide FTP server name 127.0.0.1. Username, I'll have to give my username over here. Password, again I'll have to supply my password over here. So all these things I need to go and supply over here, and then the connection succeeds. So you can see a lot of information has to be given. It could be a database, it could be FTP, where these information need to be provided. Now let's say this is a critical resource, confidential resource, and obviously the person who has this information would not like every bot creator to have this information with him. Then the question is how this information can be kept in one place and at the same time be confidential, secure, in an encrypted format, and yet people should be able to use this. The answer to all of these questions lies in the credential manager. So we can go and add a credential over here. So I'm going and saying add credential, and the credential we will give a name as FTP. Description also will give as FTP, and here you need to specify your attributes. For example, I'm going to say server name. Attribute is again server name. Attribute value, I give its IP address, which I am currently keying in, and then the password goes in, username goes in next. So all the values which I need to key in, I am storing them over here centrally. As you can see me typing it, and you can see the values are not visible because they are coming in with hashes are coming in their stead. And this information, by the way, goes in, gets stored inside our SQL server. Our software, as you know, the WebCR uses a SQL server at the back end for storing all this information. So this information is going to be stored inside the SQL server in an encrypted format. That is how this information is stored internally. And further on top of that, now how do I use these values over here instead of hard coding all this? You can drag a connect now, and this time I will not hard code, I'll press F2. And you can see I have a separate set of variables called credential variables. So whatever we go and store over here inside the credential manager starts getting visible inside this credential manager area. So I can say FTP insert, first is the server name which goes in the server name area, then again FTP, next thing is the username which goes in the username area, and then again FTP password which goes in the password area. So you can see I had keyed in all this information under FTP server name, username, password, and the same I'm able to bring it over here. If I test the connection, succeeds. So the person who is responsible for such confidential resources can keep all the information under one area inside the WebCR, and then all the bot creators can get that information using this credential variable concept. So that makes things easier to manage, keep a lid on your key variables. Last but not the least is application management. Now here we need to in case you're using your applications like bot inside and all, you need to go and register your applications over here. So you need to click on register application. Of course you have to first install that application, and then you will choose a register application, and once you have done that, it shows you the applications which are currently available on this machine. So as analytics, and you will have to give the URL of your analytics installation and save it. So then the connection will happen, and then bot inside can work. Well, I cannot do this on this machine because this machine is on a local system, it's not on the cloud, but I have an installation on the cloud where I can show you this, and I will, if you will just bear with me a moment. So I'm just connecting to my cloud instance and logging in over there. So you can see in my cloud instance, if you look at the application management analytics, you can see this analytics has a URL provided to it. So this URL is basically the URL of this bot inside application. So this URL we have gone and supplied over here and saved it, and now that creates a connection between the WebCR and the analytics application, and then your bot insight or your analytics starts getting functional. Similarly, you can also go and register your bot farm in case the same is installed. So these are a couple of things that we can do in the WebCR, which I just wanted to bring all of us on board, and I hope everybody is comfortable and good with what we've done so far. So until our next learning, thank you.